everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, How to Differentiate via Optimized Item Setup. On behalf of all of us at Label Insight, thank you for investing this time with us. Your presenter today is Brooke Bright. Brooke is a Director of Retail Product Management at Label Insight. She's passionate about data and business strategy and enjoys spending time in market with top retailers and brands like Walmart, Conagra, Purina, Target, and Instacart. Brooke and team build solutions to empower brands and retailers to make data-driven decisions across their organization in order to grow revenue and shopper loyalty. If any questions come up today, you're welcome to contact us. You can reach out to Brooke directly at her contact information on this slide, and at the end of the webinar, we'll give you some other ways to keep this conversation going. Brooke, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Lauren. I wanted to start by saying I'm really happy to join today and get some human interaction, or at least almost. Who would have known this is what our 2020 would look like? I read online that if no one else, at least our pets will think this year is off to a good start. So I just wanted to add, in case you hear a dog in the background, that is my dog Kane saying hi. And I want to thank you all for making the decision to tune into this presentation today. So we're here today to talk about retail item setup. And I will admit, the idea of centralizing and providing data to retailers may not be that exciting to everyone. But I'm passionate about it when I take a moment to recognize what it really enables in today's world, especially over the last few months with COVID. It has helped me work with my grandma to get groceries delivered to her doorstep in hours when otherwise her health would be put at risk in store. It powers hyper-relevant and only sometimes scary ads being displayed on my Instagram feed, which I purchase far more often than I'm typically willing to admit. And it gives me confidence to know if a product is safe when I'm trying to find a snack for my three-year-old niece. Retail item setup is really the foundation to sell products in store and online. And to power these rewarding experiences, it helps retailers and ultimately consumers make more intelligent purchasing decisions based on their individual need states. But time and time again, I hear from the market, retail item setup is hard. It's challenging. But we all agree, and we're all here today because we know it's critical. So optimizing this retail item setup process can help brands increase e-commerce revenue and realize operational efficiencies. And that's really what we want to walk you guys through today. So what are we going to cover? First, we're going to do a quick discussion on the opportunity and value optimizing this process represents. We're going to dive into an in-market example. We'll talk a little bit about retailers and how they're using the data you provide. We're going to share the most common challenges brands experience in this item setup process. And if you're listening today, I'm sure this is a topic that is top of mind for you, and maybe even quarantine has made this more challenging as our ability to collaborate virtually is being tested. And finally, I'll take a little bit of time to explain how Label Insight is uniquely positioned to help you and your team overcome these hurdles and how this data can be utilized across your entire organization for success. Likely no news to this group. Online grocery shopping is growing, but by how much? It's up 35% in compounded annual growth rate from the previous year in 2018 to $26 billion, and COVID has definitely helped accelerate this. Last month alone, 50% of all U.S. households tried ordering groceries online. In that month, online grocery sales surpassed $5 billion, and perhaps most telling, 31% of U.S. shoppers, including 50% of millennials, said they're likely to continue shopping online for groceries after this pandemic ends. With that increase, more consumers than ever before are searching for products online, and 81% of those searches are organic and unbranded. So if brand loyalty isn't top of mind, what is? Today, more than 70% of shoppers indicate they're seeking out specific attributes that fit their need states. So to maximize revenue growth in this new world, retail item setup has to evolve. Shopper behavior continues to get more and more complex over time. In fact, 64% of shoppers adhere to a particular diet or health-related eating program, and 55% say food allergies, intolerances, or sensitivities affect the way they shop. Many of you on this webinar, perhaps yourself or someone close to you, are probably actively seeking out products based on a dietary need, or perhaps actively avoiding them based on an ingredient of concern. Pair this with a study that indicates 87% of consumers rate online product content extremely or very important when deciding to purchase, and 98% of consumers have been dissuaded from completing a purchase because of incomplete or incorrect data. And we get back to the same function. Retail item setup is key. So maybe that's not news to you, right? You've heard your key stakeholders asking for data, but the reality is completing item setup is hard. The most common feedback when I spend time in market with brands is that, hey, item setup can be manual. It's time intensive. We don't have enough resources to properly invest in and manage this content. You can't even think about optional or voluntary fields because you're so behind on mandatory fields for all of your products. I hear things like, even if I had time, the data set I need doesn't really exist internally. My data is often incomplete, inaccurate, and inconsistent, as much as I hate to admit it. And sometimes even has individual bias because you have brand managers or marketing managers filling out Excel spreadsheets internally. And top it off, every retailer is different, right? So Kroger, Walmart, Amazon, Target, and you name the list, it's hundreds more. They all want different data in a different format, and those formats change and evolve over time. And perhaps, most telling is I don't have workflows to manage this over time. So as products are reformulated or packaging changes, we're not able to seamlessly update our item data. So perhaps one or maybe all of those reasons and challenges resonate with you and your team. But do we really understand the impact in skipping any of the steps and item setup? So when we think about winning the digital shelf, it requires two things. One, really great discoverability, and two, solid conversion. So product discoverability is essentially how easy is it for a shopper to find your products when they're shopping, searching and filtering online. It's a combination of appearing in the right searches, in the right place, to successfully enable discoverability. You have to know the following. What attributes matter for each channel? Remember, different retailers cater to different audiences, and the average shopper looks different and shops differently. My husband and I can barely agree on what grocery store we should shop at, let alone what items we should add to our cart. How do these attributes change over time? Back to our keto example, keto was not a thing 3 years ago, and if it was only on a micro scale. How does your team stay aware of these trends so that you can activate upon them? And finally, it's great to know the above, but do you have access to data on your set of products that is consistent and accurate? Typically, I hear answers like, I have some of it, but not all of it. It probably sits in Excel files from a project last year, or I could ask my team to try to fill something out. Then you have conversion, right? Once a consumer has clicked into your product online, how likely are they to add that product to their cart? Think back to the importance of content and need states. To improve conversion rates, you have to have complete, relevant, and accurate content. I wanted to share a recent audit. We recently conducted this in preparation for a project with a major US-based retailer that I wanted to share. We analyzed attribute-based advanced search filters present on that retailer's e-commerce site. You can think about those as those left-hand buttons you can click that filter products. When we did this analysis, we found that 90% of products failed to include attributes during their item setup process at that retailer. Why would that be? Why would 9 out of 10 products miss an attribute that they know is important? Well, these attributes are optional in the item setup process and often open-ended. Not filling these out is causing downstream impacts. We'll talk a little bit about those challenges and how we could overcome those in an upcoming slide, but ultimately, these fields fuel the online shopping experience. So key attributes your products likely qualify for, such as vegan, non-GMO, kosher, dairy-free, gluten-free, aren't appearing for the consumer. These are missed opportunities where the consumer should have been able to find your products and have the opportunity to add those to their cart, but they didn't. Take a deep dive in keto, the 5th most searched for attribute across all grocery categories online today, to the tune of 750,000 times last month on Amazon alone. Searching and filtering on this attribute returned 76 products. How much revenue could your brand have made if you were able to participate in that filter alone? So I want to talk a little bit about how Label Insight can help brands in the item setup process. We help automate the retail item setup process with shorter turnaround times and more expansive and accurate data sets. You probably already have an image provider. We can work directly with that provider to automatically ingest images into our database. We use those images to create a full digital copy of your label. Yes, that means we can deliver fields like flavor, size, number per pack, serving information, nutritional data, ingredient declarations, warnings, and more. We then leverage this data to provide attribution in a standardized format for each UPC in your portfolio. These attributes are the same attributes consumers are searching for online. Many brands require their regulatory team to have visibility and the ability to approve these attributes and their definitions. Our team of subject matter experts with backgrounds in nutrition, dietetics, regulatory, food science, and more have created consumer-facing and regulatory-facing definitions to consult with your team, helping you gain the alignment you need. And once aligned, and with a little bit of input from your team and stakeholders, we're able to create a retail item setup template. This template is able to grow and flex over time as new trends emerge and formats required for retailers change. And finally, once we have all of those steps in place, we can automatically publish all of the products in your portfolio to a syndication channel like Falsify, for example, or a different one of your choosing to continue to manage and push these updates over time and help you launch new products and reformulate others. So I mentioned attribution, but I wanted to take a moment to talk about why Label Insight attribution is uniquely optimized for your item setup process. Think about item setup. It was originally targeted at powering in-store transactions, but now we've evolved this and we expect it to also help power online. One of the biggest differences between in-store and online is space. In-store, labels and shelves have limited and confined space. But for digital, brands should be looking beyond the label and taking advantage of this additional area. From our suite of thousands of attributes, Label Insight can create a standardized set of on-package and derived attributes for your portfolio of products at the UPC level. Through an automated review of marketing claims, statements, and certifications on your label, we can power on-package attribution. Take this kombucha, for example. The label states that it is USDA organic, non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, and more. We go further by analyzing the nutritional information and ingredient formulation of your product. We can go beyond the label, providing insight into attributes that you may not have explicitly stated on package, and perhaps you didn't know that your product qualified for. This same kombucha product qualifies for attributes not stated, such as low calorie, fat-free, it meets the Atkins diet, and is diabetic friendly. We can help you gain value from both types of this attribution to continue to win online. The ROI that we like to associate with this is increasing revenue. By including expanded sets of attributes, you're better able to support digital product discovery. Your products can appear in more searches, create higher content, and higher conversion rates. Reduce your time to market. We can help you get your data into the market faster than your competition, helping you win market share early and maintain a competitive edge. Automate workflows. We can work with you to streamline your retail item setup process, removing any manual dependencies. And once done, you can create a single source of data that can make data-driven decisions across your entire organization. Let's dig a little bit deeper there. What is an SSOT, single source of truth data set? It's that set of raw data that's on your package paired with high-order attributes that enable not just the item setup process to be streamlined, but other initiatives internally as well. For example, you can pair attribute data with consumer search data with Label Insight to gain visibility into attribute trends over time. We also have partnerships with Nielsen and IRI, allowing your category and insights team to pair sales data with these attributes to make data-driven decisions on any insight or analytic project. And finally, we also partner with One World Sync to lead the Smart Label solution in market today via Label Sync, enabling digital compliance for things like BE disclosure. So we've talked about optimizing the item setup and how that can help. The challenges providing this data exist, and we know that they're out there, but they're not insurmountable. And we've also discussed how Label Insight can help. I know maybe it felt like 15 minutes went fast, but I do want to say thank you very much for tuning into this webinar and listening and hopefully learning something along the way. If you have any questions or you'd like to discuss how Label Insight might be able to help your business, Please feel free to reach out directly to me or to us at marketing@labelinsight.com.